Hello everybody, Jason W's Revolution Cave for the big Sunday event, the Power Hour. That's right, the TN80sR half-hour Power Hour, where you, the loyal follower, the loyal viewer, the loyal friend of the channel, ask the questions. You get to be on the big show by asking the casual fun collector question or the hard-hitting personal question. We take them all, we answer them all here on the channel. And we have 3 more today. Not 3 more questions, 3 more viewers, 3 more friends sending in their questions. On a very serious note, folks, if you notice, I posted a video right prior to this one directing you to a GoFundMe page for a friend of mine who is homeless. Very homeless, right? Not sleeping in a car. He doesn't have a car. Sleeping on the sidewalk, sleeping in parks, sleeping in libraries during the day, walking during the night, and also sleeping in an enclosure that he's not supposed to be sleeping in. And that enclosure has no heat or electricity or lights or anything. So he's sleeping on the ground in an enclosure that he's not supposed to sleep in. So we don't know how long that's going to last. So I started a GoFundMe page, and I'm also doing some work with the mental health world to try to get him into some kind of a supportive apartment program, but that takes time. All right, check that video out, share it, do whatever you want with it, please. Let's do the big show. Let's do the questions. Let's talk about the Power Hour. If you would like to be a part of the TN80sR half-hour Power Hour, you have to send questions to me. And you can send them to me multiple different ways. There's 2 email addresses, jasonnupp76@gmail.com. Nupp is K-N-U-P-P, folks. So jasonnupp76@gmail.com. Or TN80R questions@gmail.com. Or, send me one of those friend requests on Facebook and send it to me in Messenger. And I will ask and answer your question on the channel. Or you'll ask the question and I'll answer it. The first one up is from man Carlos RC. Big friend of the channel, has been for quite a long time. He sends 4 questions. And his first one is, what is a movie you could watch every day? What is a movie you could watch every day? That's a good one. It's a strange Castaway. Castaway with Tom Hanks is a very relaxing movie, and it's a movie that when we had cable and TV and TBS and stuff like that, when Castaway would come on, I would watch it no matter where it was in the movie. I love it, but it's a fall asleep movie, so I don't know the last time I sat and watched Castaway straight through, because Castaway is a snowy day under a blanket on the couch, potentially falling asleep 30 minutes into it. Now, that world doesn't exist for me anymore. There's no falling asleep on a Sunday on the couch. It's not happening these days. But Castaway, Friday the 13th Part 1 is a movie that I never get sick of. In fact, when I sit down for the Friday the 13th marathon, whether it's not going to be in one night, but if I say, all right, I'm going to grab all my Friday the 13th movies and I'm going to watch them, I usually get to number 1 and then maybe number 2, a few days later or a week later or whatever. And then I just stop and then I do other stuff. And then when I restart the marathon, I go back to Part 1. So I've seen Part 1 so many more times than the other ones, because when I decide to restart the marathon, I go back to Part 1 again. But Castaway is one of those. And Titanic, again, not the entire movie, but again, on a snowy Sunday on the couch under a blanket. Titanic's on TBS, and it's hour 2, of Titanic. I'm watching it. Will I sit there and watch entire Titanic straight through? No. No, but I like it in clips. Is there a skill you've always wanted to learn? Yeah, music. Music for sure. You've seen, Liam's Ultimate Games 2 and Half Dead Hornets Official. You've seen those channels. So you've seen that my kids have a band, all of them with varying degrees of talent. But they just bang around. My kids haven't taken any formal lessons. And I want them to, but they like push the interest off. They don't seem overly interested in it. They just seem interested in playing and learning as they go along, which I think tons of musicians are self-taught. So I'm not too concerned about that, but I still, at almost 48, still want to learn an instrument. In fact, I wish that as a kid, I would have taken multiple instrument lessons. I wish I knew how to play piano. I wish I knew how to play guitar. And I wish I knew how to play drums. I can play the drums, but I can't play the drums. I wish that I knew. And there's still time, obviously, for that. I just don't know how the brain, retains information at this age versus learning at 7. But I think of those 3 instruments, I think I'd like to learn piano the most. So I think in the new year, with those stupid resolutions that we don't keep, I want to play piano. Another skill is car repair. I wish that I had learned at least how to change brakes or change oil, spark plugs, stuff like that. I have no idea what to do. I wish I knew how to do that. Your basic household stuff, I wish I had plumbing knowledge. I wish I had electrical knowledge. I wish I had fix-it knowledge, how to fix stuff. I don't. But music, I think, is definitely a skill that I wish that I had learned. What am I most proud of? Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know what I'm most proud of. I would assume that would mean something that I did that I'm most proud of. I mean, it's an easy answer to say I'm most proud of my children, but that's a cop-out answer. I mean, I bowled a 300. I think I'm pretty proud of that. Personal accomplishments, I'm going to go with the 300. And for you bowling fans, I also got an 800 series, like an 816, which is insane in the sport. It's a rarity. And those are things that I directly impacted. So I just did the bowling. I directly impacted those accomplishments. So I did that. So I'm pretty proud of that. I painted my entire house outside 5 years ago or so. I'm pretty proud of that. Just me. Big ladder, gigantic ladder, higher than I've ever wanted to be. I painted my entire house. It took months. But I painted my entire house and saved about $6,000. Did it myself. I'm pretty proud of that. College is college is whatever. Who cares? I went to college. I retained some information, regurgitated it back out on a test, and then forgot it all the next day. I'm not proud of college. My career, I can't say that I'm proud of my career. I mean, I just, whatever. I go to work. But those personal accomplishments, bowling a 300, also bowling an 800 series, and painting my entire house. those are things that take, me. It took, to do those. Knocking out Mike Tyson's pretty good in the game, and of course, in the video game. Yeah, I'm proud of those things. If you had the opportunity to know the future, what would you want to know? Or if you had the opportunity to know the future, would you want to know it? If so, what? Well, yes and no. I certainly don't know. I don't want to know when I'm going to die. That wouldn't be good for me and my anxiety. That I don't want to know when I'm going to die. I certainly don't know. I don't want to know how I'm going to die. So no, I don't want to know that part of the future. No, I guess not. I don't want to know the future, because if it's bad, I got kids to worry about. And, if I find out in the future, the world ends in 23 years, that's not good. I'm not going to be okay with that. I'll be 70. Yeah, 70. But my kids won't be. So I don't want to know about that. And it's too risky. Like, if there's good, like, oh, you're gonna win $19 million in 3 weeks. Sure, let me know that. But I don't want to know about anything negative that's coming, any illnesses that are coming. I don't want to know that. So no, I would not want to know the future, because it's too risky to take a chance knowing, to take a chance on whether or not I'm going to get good news or bad news. That's too risky, especially with kids. I don't want to know. Thanks for your time. Thank you for your time, RC. I appreciate you very much. Curtis, my man Curtis says, which version of the NES did you have? I had the gray zapper with the combined Mario Duck Hunt cartridge. Well, Curtis, you and I share the same experience. That is the Nintendo that I had as well. I never had the orange gun. In fact, I never understood why they did the orange gun. Urban legend, my own personal memory, urban legend says that they made it orange so that it didn't look too much like a real gun, which it already didn't look like a real gun. And I think this is around the time when toy guns were really being pulled from shelves and banned from schools, and they started to put those orange tips in the guns. So did they make the NES Zapper orange because people were mistaking it for a real gun? I don't know. But yeah, that's the set I had. Gray Zapper, Mario Duck Hunt combo. Got it in, I want to say 86. I'm pretty sure I got it in 86. Yes, absolutely got it in 86. Folks, I might have gotten it in 87. I can't remember. I base everything off of WrestleManias. So WrestleMania 3 was 87. Did I have a Nintendo? I don't think so. I think I was still playing Atari in 85 and 86. I think I got the Nintendo in 87. I don't know. That's a guess. I don't know. My man Andrew says, you've talked about guys like Tito Santana who weren't that nice in person and changed your opinion of them. Who are the wrestlers that stick out as the nicest or not the nicest? Great question. And I think Tito's probably one of the nicer to meet in 30 seconds. He's fan friendly. He takes a good picture with you, signs your stuff, and you move on. I think he's fine. But I had the weird, unfortunate experience of being a little bit behind the curtain, if you will, with Tito, because I went to an indie show I went to an indie show with a friend of mine who ran a local wrestling federation, a local indie federation, and at one point they were affiliated with the NWA. It was called NWA Upstate. And this is way back before Billy Corgan's NWA, but NWA had all these little offshoot territories, or however it worked. But my friend, was co-owner or co-something of NWA Upstate. And so we went to an indie show in Pennsylvania where, he knew some of the people that were connected with that show. And so we got asked to work the autograph tables of Tito Santana and Greg Valentine. My friend got put with Greg Valentine and I got put with Tito Santana. And the promoter of that show was a guy named Norm Connors. And if when you do that, you basically are just you're like the little, toad who sits next to the wrestler and collects the money and takes the photos and blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting next to Tito Santana for like 2 hours during the meet and greet session. And, he wasn't talkative. And, and that's fine because I was nervous. This is years and years ago. I wasn't going to sit there and just talk his ear off. But the part that was the worst with him was that so this is back when you still used Polaroids to take photos. Everybody still had a phone, but for some reason these old-timey wrestlers have these Polaroid cameras with them. And so whenever a fan wanted a photo and for whatever reason didn't have their own phone, I would have to use the Polaroid. And for some reason this Polaroid was just not working for me. Okay, it just wasn't working. And I think the Polaroid would have like 15 photos to you. The film was 15 photos. Well, it's not that hard of a concept. I get that, but here I am. I'm holding the camera. I'm looking through the camera. I'm pressing the button that is supposed to take the photo, and nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Right? I'm pushing it hard. I'm pushing it not hard. It's not happening. So Tito would occasionally get frustrated and gave me the "it's not that difficult" line. And I wanted to smack him right in his Tito head. It's not that yeah, I know it's not that difficult, but you've got this archaic, stupid camera and the button's not working. And then, he takes it and looks at it and presses the button and there comes the photo. I hated that. The other thing that was awful about that was that he had his price list set up, right? $15 an autograph, $10 a photo, whatever. But goofy kids without their parents, thanks a lot, parents, goofy kids would just come up to the table and be like, "Can I have your autograph?" And they didn't have any money. So Tito would sit there silently, and I would have to tell the kid, "Get lost, kid. It's $15. Beat it." And then the kid would be like, "Okay." And then Tito would go, "Oh, I'll do it. And he'd sign an autograph for the kid. Right? Like that was his shtick. But he didn't tell me ahead of time. He just made me look like a jerk, and then he took the photo. So he would do that a lot too. Like he would decide if he was going to give a freebie after I said no. Right? And I don't want to do that. That's jerky of me. Then at the end of the photo signing, usually the wrestler will gift you something, whether it's, I think some of the wrestlers will give a very small percentage of their income for the meet and greet, 3% or whatever. I wasn't looking for that. I had the two Tito Santana LJN figures with me. I had brought them to the show to have him sign them. So I was showing him them, and I was this was in the middle of the meet and greet, and he told me that he'd sign them for free afterwards. Oh, thank you. I just spent 2 hours being your heavy, and you're going to give me 2 autographs. Thank you. But right in the middle of it, I just was striking up conversation, and I showed him the Strikeforce version of Tito Santana, and I said, "Hey, do you have your own figure on card? Like this is the white version of it." And instead of responding appropriately to that question, yeah, I have it. It's pretty cool. It's awesome. He goes, yeah, I know. I'll sign it after. Really? Tito? The hell. So, yeah, that wasn't great. That wasn't great. So I don't like him after that. So now whenever I watch, Tito Santana, I don't like him anymore. I'll tell you a whole bunch of stories. We got like 10 minutes left. The same NWA Upstate, the local Fed, they would bring in guys all the time. They'd have their local crew, but then they'd bring in a name every month. It was great. So I met a ton of guys, 12, 13 years ago, 10 years ago, met a ton of people. I was hanging out with a best friend at the time, a guy named Scott, and we'd go to these shows all the time. And we'd be drunk, we're drinking cheap beer. And by the time of the meet and greet, we're just hamming it up with the wrestlers. Raven came to town once and refused photos. He didn't want to take a photo because the flash hurt his eyes. Now we're talking about, again, this is pre my cell phone. So this was, you got like a disposable Instamatic or whatever, or you've got a digital camera. And I guess it has a flash on it, but he refused photos because they hurt his eyes. And so, that's out. And I was never really an autograph guy. I wanted a photo with the wrestler. So he wasn't mean about it. He just wouldn't take a picture because the flash hurt his eyes. I was kind of out of in the wrong place, wrong time at one point. There was another legend show in Pennsylvania under Norm Connors. I was friends with it was in a high school. I was friends with the gym teacher of the high school, the basketball coach of the high school, sorry, and he was helping promote the show. So he had me come out and just hang out and have backstage access and all that. So he told me, just walk through the back. The guys were all changing in the locker room. And this was a mega legend show. Bruno Sammartino was there. Ivan Putski was there. AJ Styles was there. This is about 15 years ago. AJ Styles, I think Barbarian and Warlord were there. I mean, it was stacked. And I found myself in the locker room with all these guys while they're getting ready. And I felt so out of place. I don't know why I casually walked back there, but I did. I think my friend, his name was Todd. I think my friend Todd told me, yeah, just go back there. Just go meet him. And so I just walked back there and I was so out of place. I had no business being back there. And I foolishly asked Abdullah the Butcher to take a picture with me while he was getting dressed. And he yelled at me and said, not right now. I'm putting my gear on. Totally justified. I had no business being back there. That was ridiculous of me. That's it for not nice. Tony Atlas was really mean one day at another legend show that the promoter skipped out without paying the guys. And for some reason, I stayed around afterwards like a dork because, that's what you do when you're a dork. You stay after when all the other fans leave and you're just standing around trying to meet somebody because you're a dork. And for some reason, Tony Atlas must have thought I knew something about the promoter. And he was like yelling at like a couple of the fans that were left behind, including me, about, does anybody know how to get a hold of this guy? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know. But he got stiffed. He wasn't mean. Yeah, that's it for mean. Definitely. Yeah, nicest. Oh, there's so many. Roddy Piper, super nice. My meeting with Hulk Hogan was just legendary in my mind. From TNA, remember Homicide and Hernandez? So Homicide and Hernandez are at a local indie show. My friend and I are tanked. Homicide, the way they have the indie shows, like they don't, they didn't have a backstage. There was like a I don't know, there was like a partition separating I don't know. So but Homicide and Hernandez were standing around behind this partition. You couldn't go back there. And in all of our intoxicationness, my friend and I are like, hey, let's get a picture with you. And Homicide and Hernandez, in the middle of the show, matches are going on. Homicide and Hernandez wave us in over the barrier to the where they're standing, and a security guard tries to stop us, and then Hernandez stops the security guard from stopping us, and the security guard takes our photo. How great is that? We make the guy who tried to stop us take the photo. Beautiful. Homicide and Hernandez were great. They Scotty Too Hottie and Brian Lawler there, Brian Christopher, they were nice. They did a photo in the ring, and my friend was stocky and built, and at the time I was a little stockier and built, and we were getting in the ring, and they were like, whoa, this you guys could be a tag team, and our drunk egos just skyrocketed, and we're like, yeah, we could. This is great. And it's so stupid, right? But Brian Christopher and Scotty Too Hottie boosted our egos that night. Who else? I mean, when I met Ric Flair, that was supposed to be this golden moment for me, but he was clueless. Never even, gave you one of the handshakes that he's not even acknowledging your presence. He's just offering a hand. And we take the photo and he's not even looking at the camera appropriately. I don't know, that was awful. But he was mean. Who else? Kamala was kind of meh. He was kind of quiet. I've met so many. Obviously, Paul Orndorff was great. George Animal Steel was usually a kind of a tool. He, like I say, he's mean, but you couldn't tell if he was in a bad mood or in a good mood. And he was always just like, he was really rough with you. Like, in the photo, like he would start choking you in the photo, but he was hurting, like it really hurt. And I think if you tried to talk to him too long and asked him like a dumb question, he would just shred you. Just rip into you. And I've seen some nasty stuff out of him. There's an indie match where he's actually wrestling, and it's late. It's way late. It's like 2000s. He's wrestling, and he is berating the referee because the referee is just some goofy kid, reffing an indie show with like no experience, and he's not really. He's totally clueless of who George Steele is and how to referee a George Steele match. And Steele is mad at him, and Steele smacks him in the head, and he swears at him, and he's like, do you know what the F you're doing? And then do it. Go look for that. George Steele beats up a referee. Because the referee just had no idea what to do. And with George Steele, he puts the gimmick in his mouth, and he turns around and he puts his hands out, and he's got his head to the he's got his head facing away from the ref, and he pulls out and puts it. The referee's supposed to check him where the gimmick isn't, and the kid didn't know what to do, whatever. And George Steele just was an ass to him. That's about it, I think. For anybody that's all I can remember as far as like standouts. Steve Carino and a guy that is so gone from the business, but a guy named Ricky Landell came to Rochester, and they were super nice, and they had the AWA tag team belts with them, and they let us pose with the belts, and our photo with them just looks like four college friends. It was awesome. That's about it. It's all for the massive majority of my experiences with wrestlers has been great. It's been really good. So that I'm glad that happened and didn't, create this horrible stain in my memory of wrestlers. So that is it. Thank you, Andrew, for that question. And that's the Power Hour, folks. That's it. So thanks for tuning in. Check out the GoFundMe from the other video I did, and we will see you on the big show Monday tomorrow, where we take another look at an LJN figure. That's right. Good night now.